London on high alert, police urge public to keep off streets of capital as they issue list of no-go areas following Parliament terror attack. London was today on lockdown as people were warned to stay away from no-go zones after at least 5 people were killed in the London terror attack this afternoon. Westminster Tube Station has been closed following the attack, in which a policeman was stabbed to death and at least 40 people were injured when a car mounted the pavement on Westminster Bridge. 3 more civilians were killed on the bridge, as well as the attacker, and many suffered catastrophic injuries, including one woman who was pulled from the Thames after jumping over to avoid the car. A huge area around the palace has now been cordoned off, including the bridge, as police remain on high alert in fear of any subsequent attacks on what at the heart of Britain's political establishment. Police have warned people to expect armed guards at tube stations and a heavy police presence on the streets, and the army is now poised to descend upon London amid security fears. Police are asking people to avoid Parliament Square, Whitehall, Westminster Bridge, Lambeth Bridge, Victoria Street up to the junction with Broadway and the Victoria Embankment up to Embankment Tube. The Thames has been closed from Vauxhall to Embankment as part of the security response, after a member of the public, believed to have been hit by the car, was recovered from the water near Westminster Bridge. The closure of the river, along with roads in the centre and Westminster, used by thousands of people visiting and working in Whitehall every day, caused temporary chaos in central London. Dozens of people were stranded in the air at the top of the London Eye, which stopped amid the carnage in Westminster. The huge security increase comes just days after Britain banned electronic devices such as laptops from the cabins of UK-bound planes from 6 Middle Eastern nations amid fears they could be used to blow up planes. The death toll so far stands at 4, including the attacker, who was shot after stabbing a police officer with a knife. The officer suffered fatal injuries and has also died, police have now confirmed. The Met's head of counter-terrorism Mark Rowley said, looking forward, throughout the rest of the day including when people are commuting home and over the days that follow, the people of London will see extra police officers, both armed and unarmed, out on our streets. He confirmed that 40 people have been wounded, mostly on Westminster Bridge, where the attacker ploughed through cyclists and pedestrians. He said officers are now searching the area for any other threats, adding, "We are satisfied at this stage that it looks like there was only one attacker. But it would be foolish to be overconfident early on." 2 of those injured were police officers who had finished their shift and can be heard screaming at civilians to get out the way as the car approached, in shocking footage of the attack. Mr. Rowley said the dead policeman who died was one of the armed officers who guard Parliament and the other victims confirmed dead were on Westminster Bridge. Some pedestrians were said to have suffered catastrophic injuries, and one woman was fished out of the water after it is thought that she jumped over the edge to avoid the careering vehicle. The driver, said to be an Asian man in his 40s, then ploughed into the gates of the Palace of Westminster, where Theresa May had been answering Prime Minister's questions. Witness Jane Wilkinson said, "We were taking photos of Big Ben and we saw all the people running towards us, and then there was an Asian guy in about his 40s carrying a knife about 7 or 8 inches long. And then there were 3 shots fired, and then we crossed the road and looked over. The man was on the floor with blood. He had a lightweight jacket on, dark trousers and a shirt. He was running through those gates, towards Parliament, and the police were chasing him." Craig Mackley, who is the acting head of the Met, is being treated as a significant witness so was unable to answer questions today. Acting Commander B.J. Harrington said that there were a number of casualties but would not confirm how many. He urged people in London to stay away from the area, usually populated by thousands of tourists visiting some of Britain's most iconic architecture, as police continue to investigate. Commander Harrington also said they were not yet sure of the motive, but Scotland Yard said that the attack, a year after the Brussels bombing, was being treated as terrorist until we know otherwise. The commander told reporters, "I can confirm we are treating this as a terrorist incident, although we remain open-minded as to the motives for the incident. A full investigation is underway." The acting commissioner was a significant witness in the incident as he was there at the scene, and it would not be appropriate for him to discuss it at this stage. "We request any member of the public who has an information to contact police. Anyone who has any film of the incident should contact us as well. I want to reiterate our number one priority is keeping the public safe, and if Londoners on their way home from work today will see an increased police presence." An hour after the attack, paramedics removed a man, thought to be the attacker, from the scene after extensive CPR. Another body appeared to have been left on the ground covered by a red blanket. A doctor at St. Thomas Hospital confirmed one woman has died and a number of others have been hurt, including some with catastrophic injuries. At least 3 police officers are believed to have been injured. Prime Minister Theresa May, who was evacuated from Parliament in an armoured car, is to chair a meeting of the government's Emergency Cobra Committee to discuss the immediate response to the bloody incident. The Cobra Committee brings together government ministers with senior officials of the emergency services and security and intelligence agencies. Normal parliamentary discussions were suspended when the news broke today. Meeting in a briefing room of the Cabinet Office on Whitehall, Cobra coordinates the high-level response to serious incidents, and has previously gathered after terrorist atrocities including the June 7 attacks on the London Transport Network and the murder of soldier Lee Rigby. Investigations into the emergency at Westminster are in their infancy, but the early details echo terrorist incidents in Europe and chime with warnings from security chiefs about possible attack methods. Although Britain has until now remained unscathed amid the recent flurry of atrocities on the continent, senior figures have repeatedly cautioned that the UK remains a major target. Earlier this month it was revealed that 13 potential attacks have been foiled since the murder of Lee Rigby in 2013, while counter-terrorism units are running more than 500 live investigations at any time. The official threat level for international terrorism has been at severe, meaning an attack is highly likely, for more than 2 years. And the events at Westminster appear to tally with warnings about the threat posed by more rudimentary tactics, such as lone or small numbers of assailants carrying out knife attacks or using vehicles as weapons, in addition to more large-scale bomb or firearms plots. The possibility that vehicles could be used to inflict multiple casualties were confirmed in horrifying fashion in the Nice attacks in July last year, when dozens of people were killed when a lorry plowed into a large crowd watching a fireworks display to mark the Bastille Day holiday. Months later, an attacker drove a lorry into a crowded Christmas market in central Berlin, killing several people and injuring dozens more. Both Islamic State and Al-Qaeda have previously urged followers to use vehicles to carry out attacks. Neither have yet claimed responsibility for today's violent acts. A report published in December by Europol, the EU's law enforcement agency, said the bloc was facing a range of terrorist threats and attacks, including the use of bladed weapons and vehicles. In January, former terror laws watchdog David Anderson spoke of a realization on the part of the terrorists that they don't need sophisticated explosives plots to take great numbers of lives. He added, people using automatic weapons, heavy goods vehicles, even knives, machetes, and securing all the publicity they could possibly want from deploying relatively simple weapons such as that. Scotland Yard counter-terror chief Mark Rowley said earlier this month that police are concerned about everything from fairly simple attacks with knives or using vehicles all the way through to the more complex firearms attacks. Security services and police will be starting to piece together the possible motivations behind the attack on Wednesday, but the location, the heart of British democracy, will be seen as highly significant. It comes days after the Metropolitan Police staged a mock pleasure boat attack on the Thames to test the emergency response to such an emergency. But Londoners will never be cowed by terrorism and will stand together against those who seek to harm and destroy our way of life, London's mayor said. The statement was made as 2 victims of the terror attack remain in a stable condition at St. Thomas's Hospital opposite the Houses of Parliament. Sadiq Khan said, "Today London suffered a horrific attack near Parliament Square which we are treating as a terrorist attack. A number of people have lost their lives and at least 40 people have been injured. My heart goes out to those who have lost loved ones and to everyone who has been affected." Tragically, a Metropolitan Police officer who was doing his duty protecting our city is amongst those who have been killed, and my thoughts are with his family this evening. I want to express my gratitude on behalf of all Londoners to the police and emergency services who have shown tremendous bravery in exceptionally difficult circumstances.